Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just going to give it a couple more seconds to let people come in, and we are going to go ahead and get started right away. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We are at the 12 o'clock mark. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Aparo's Nonprofit Bites and Insights. These are our free webinar series where we invite experts from various industries to come share their knowledge and expertise on topics that are pertinent and important for nonprofit professionals. So we are looking at the second session of our 4-part project management for nonprofit series with Pete Oliver. If you were not able to join us last week, we just did a high-level introduction around the key concepts on project management. Today, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the agile approach. Next week, we're going to cover some high-level key advanced project management concepts. And then we're going to be wrapping things up around project management tools. All the webinars are going to be recorded. So if you do happen to miss one and you want to go and look at that, all of the webinars are posted on our webinars page. Those links will be dropped in the chat in a moment, as well as the follow-up email. So like I shared, this webinar as well is being recorded. All of you who are attending today will receive a follow-up email from me that includes the link to the recording, slide decks, as well as some of the amazing resources that Pete has put together for us. And all the written Q&A, all the questions that came through registration, Pete has put written answers on paper for you. So if we don't get to those today and you want to check out your question and the answers, that will be available for you in a PDF in that email as well. Q&A box is available for you to use. Feel free to drop in your questions at any time throughout this hour. Chat box is also available for you to use to drop in comments, have conversation, and closed captioning is available for you to use as well. So for those of you who are new to Aparo, welcome. A little bit about us. So we are a nonprofit based in Charlotte, and our mission is to help other nonprofits with their technology and business process needs so that they can do more and amplify their impact in the communities and the populations that they serve. And we do this by connecting nonprofits with skilled volunteers and corporations. Our services are broken down into 3 categories. I'm going to be diving deeper into this later on in the presentation, but just to summarize, we offer consulting services, staff team trainings, as well as projects that works to find a tailored solution to your larger technology or business process challenges. I do want to mention, if you are a nonprofit in the Raleigh-Durham Triangle area, in North Carolina, check out our grant program. It's called Mission Possible. It's open for registration. And this program is where one nonprofit will be selected to receive $10,000 in consulting services to make their technology dream come true. I will be dropping that link into the chat as well for you to take a look at. These are the different ways to connect with Aparo. If or when you decide you want to connect with us for one of our services, go ahead and go to our website, fill out our request form, and someone will get in touch with you as soon as possible. Also, check out about subscribing to our email list. This is a great way to stay up to date on our programming. You can also email me, and I'll be happy to direct you to the right place. And then finally, if you like what we do, please do consider writing a short Google review for us. All right, that is it for me. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and turn it over to Pete.
Okay, thank you, Yenting. And let me start sharing. All right. So today's session is going to be diving, as you said, a little bit deeper into the agile approach. So there's a number of things that I'll cover, kind of, building on what was talked about in the first session there. What I'm going to cover as far as agenda topics, I am going to go over mindset, talk a little bit about that. I want to talk about communications, and as a facilitator or working in the project management arena, types of communication, best practices with communication, some of the, I'll say, pitfalls with that. I'm going to touch on software as well, and go into that, and then we'll have a conclusion and some next steps there. So what I want to start with is actually mindset. And this is work that is based on Carol Dweck, who is a Stanford professor. She's been doing this for over 30 years. Is very interesting. And if you want to find out more information about it, you can go on and find TED Talks, just search on mindset. And Carol Dweck, you can find a lot of work. The premise here is that people are basically one of two different mindsets, either a fixed mindset, where things are rather set. They try to avoid failure because they want to look smart all the time. They avoid challenges. They stick to what they know. And failure, it's they don't like to deal with that. The flip side of that is a growth mindset, and that is someone that is looking to always continuously learn. They embrace challenges. They're not afraid to fail. They look at failure as a way to learn more and to progress and learn and move forward. So that is kind of the basis of the whole thing on mindset. The one thing I want to stress on this is that no one individual falls into either one of these all the time in all situations. Someone could be very open for one area, but maybe in their work they have a rather fixed mindset. Or kind of stemming or building on to this, I want to talk about something that's called the agile mindset, because that the project management community has kind of latched on to that. And what they talk about is a number of different what they're calling pillars. Some of these are respect for the individual. All team members, everybody is bringing value to the team. They're adding something. Even the most junior person on the team, and a suggestion they have may be very relevant for what you're doing. What you're trying to do is you're trying to optimize your processes and your flow for what you're working on. You encourage team innovation. Again, this is an agile concept, and you focus on relentless improvement. And what I'll add here as well is I'll talk about some learning that I did. I had talked about previously some of the things working on and doing just a personal thing. A number of years ago, I was working on something, hadn't really started pushing it within my organization, but I started using a set of software. I said, okay, I'm going to do a personal board. And I'll work on it for 6 weeks and see how it goes. And I did that. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to change and use a different software, different approach. And I started on it. And about midway through that's when I had my aha moment. And it was really that it's an agile approach is more about your mindset and how you approach the way you're going to do your work. It might not matter, the tools that you're using. It doesn't matter. It's really how you approach your work, and how you're working to get things, how you're working collaboratively with your team in order to accomplish your work. So that's some of the things that I wanted to cover on that. Also, Yenting, you had mentioned about the questions that we had come in. One of the questions that came in was, how do you get buy-in for involvement with project or more things to move things forward? And to be honest, that's sort of one of the things that you're fighting with here, and it is to overcome a mindset. And one of the things that I had mentioned last week in the conclusion, I was talking about, possibly pilot something. So if you're facing a team or an organization that doesn't really want to change or doesn't want to, possibly try something, pick a very small area in which you can try it and say, okay, well, if we have success in this area, okay, then we can say, look, this worked. We tried it. It worked. Let's expand this. Let's move this on. So again, very good questions that we have coming in, and it ties right in with some of these things that we're covering. Let me shift a little bit now, and I'm going to talk about understanding communication methods. And this is kind of a graphic to show looking at the information that you have to share. So across the bottom axis there, it goes from the complexity of the information, or and it goes from low to high over on the right there. And then also emotionality of the situation. So if it's something that might be tense or might be that's high, that would be more towards the top of the chart. And then all the blue dots that are on here, those are different ways of communicating. And communication really falls into one of two different ways. One is what they call synchronous, which is real-time communication. So that is where I'm sharing some information and someone is real-time, they're listening to it, and they can respond back, they can answer, they can ask questions, they can express what their opinion or what their ideas are. And then the other way of communicating is asynchronous, where some information, you take it, you post it, and it may be some time before it's actually read, understood, responded to. So some of the things that I'll talk about is this webinar, teleconferences. That is something that is synchronous. People have a chat here. They can post questions in the chat. They can pose a question to me, or they can raise their hand. And so there's a little bit of two-way. Face-to-face communication is the highest. And that one is should be used for something that is very important, something maybe that is very emotional. Some of the other communication is we have texting, but also chat and instant messaging. So as a collaboration tool, chat and instant messaging can be very powerful. It's good for very short, quick communication, not really good for something that has a lot of information that you need to share. Email, which is right about in the middle of the chart here. There's some fallacies with email, and one of those is that email doesn't really convey an immediate response. So if you have something that is actually urgent, you should not be relying on email in order to do that. And actually maybe something as far as using a chat or text to say to somebody, hey, I need to talk to you this afternoon. There's an important decision that we need to make. Or use the telephone or face-to-face communication in order to do that. One of the other things about email that I want to talk about is, depending on your organization, generally it's tied to the size, is people wind up with email fatigue. They can wind up with so much email coming in. It's hard for them to keep up. They're trying to do their job. There's all these emails coming in. They're trying to reply to them all. So again, that's another thing. So when you're communicating with your team, keep that in mind. One more thing on the face-to-face, so much of what we do now are virtual meetings and all that, but we still have some groups that are meeting in offices and all that. But one of the things is that the suggestions is that eliminate unnecessary meetings, because people sometimes have meeting fatigue. They have so many meetings that they have to go to, and they say, look, I can't get my work done. So be cognizant of that, and actually maybe look at what, if you have a bunch of standing meetings, take a look at those and try to determine, are there some meetings that can be eliminated? And if so, try to rely on one of the other communication methods here. Let me just check my notes here. I want to make sure I'm covering everything. Collaboration sites, and I'm going to go into these a little bit more on that, but collaboration sites, on those two, you're not going to get an immediate result, but they do work well for things like if you have training or onboarding that you may have to do for your volunteers or staff people. It's information that's not going to change very often once you record it. You can put it out there and then direct people to this. So collaboration sites. Also, there are some things where, when people are collaborating, document sharing and things like that, again, you're not going to have immediate turnaround, but you can maybe, if I'm working with Yenting on a document, I can post it out to a shared site. When I get it out there, I can chat or instant message to her and say, Yenting, I know you've been waiting for this document. I just got it posted. Now you can go out there and look at it. So that's some overview on different communication methods. The other thing I'm going to add is that as a project manager, as a scrum master, as a facilitator within your organization, communication is going to be the one thing that you're constantly, I'm going to say, stumbling over or running into problems with. You always have to work with it. You'll be working on something, you'll be in the middle of the project, you'll think everything is going along fine, and it's, what, we have a problem here, and the base cause of it is a failure in communication. So it's something that you're going to have to stay on top of all the time, and take a look at your communication methods, the tools you're using, and also seek feedback from your team as to, are you getting the information that you need in order to do your job? Let me shift to another topic now, which is software. And I roughly broke this down into two different areas of software. And roughly, I'm calling it team and customer collaboration. These are tools that you're going to be using to collaborate. It may not be exactly project management types of work. And the other is enterprise management and project management. Those tools will be covered in the next one. But again, I want to go back to the questions that we've been receiving. And we've been receiving questions on, what would be the best software for me to utilize, or what is the best tool? And although, Yenting, I have provided you with answers in that, really the answer on that is when you were asked that question, the response really needs to be, it depends, because there's a whole set of, I'm going to say, requirements. There's functional requirements, and these are actually tied to your organization, what it does, how it works, the software that you need to run your day-to-day business. Your nonprofit may be something that uses case management, and there are particular requirements on that. That would have some bearing actually on project management type of tools that you would use. There's what I call non-functional requirements as well. Those include budget. There's sustainability. There's maintainability. The last thing you want to do is wind up with a tool and you've rolled it out to your organization and you find out, I'm going to have someone on the staff spend a lot of time maintaining this or answering questions or updating the software, or so that's another. Ease of use. If people don't use the software, if it's not intuitive for them, it's it's kind of a waste that you have gone through this whole effort of getting this software. So I've talked a lot about this, and the best path forward really is to actually use the Aparo's. There's a solution offering to help you solution that. One of the other questions that came across with the pre-registration survey, was what software do you use today? So I'm just going to run down. I'm going to. There's Asana, Excel, moving to Smartsheets and Homekeeper. We have Google Drive. We have Microsoft Planner. We have Milestones, Monday, Salesforce. Some people none. Some Outlook, Teams Planner. And I've got to tell you, these are all good. They are all good software, but there's pros and cons with every one of those. And really, what you need to do is balance, through those, and what makes the best sense. I have some of my own bias. I've used some tools, and I love them, and I might sit down with you and say, oh, you should really use this tool. And unless you look at that list of all the like I said, the requirements and the non-functional items, that is really what you need to do in order to make an informed decision. That's kind of a quick rundown on tools. Let me see. I'll move forward. And what I want to do is talk about some of the individual tools, some of these ones I had mentioned on the communication, and best practices around this. So group chat tools. These work out very good for collaboration with your team, in order to get the teams working together. And Slack is the tool that I've used, almost extensively. And the things I like about it are you can set up public channels where everyone can see it. You can set up private channels where maybe only your organization, or only maybe part of your organization, so a few people that are working on a particular project or something. You can have multi channels and all that. And I keep on saying Slack, but there's a number of tools. There's Slack, there's Microsoft Teams, there's Google Chat, and there's a whole bunch of other chat tools. And again, there are a number of ways of using these. And again, the best thing with these chat tools is that it helps your team to collaborate, to stay in sync when they're working on a project. And some of the tools, I'm going to say, Asana, I know there's actually a chat feature within Asana, in which case, you would not have to go out and acquire another chat tool. again, it might be something as far as, learning better ways of using the tools if you already have one of these tools in here. So, and let's see, I did provide a link. This is also in that link, the list of resources. There was a one on how to use Slack for your nonprofit. Read it, maybe look at it just as group chat. How can I use group chat for my nonprofit? So let me move on to the next general categorization of software. So wikis. Wikis are actually very much like Wikipedia, is what you're going to see for that. It's really a good way of documenting some of the things that your organization deals with, as far as I had mentioned things like putting onboarding, or putting some training maybe that your volunteers need to go through. Document it. You can put it out there, and then as new people come on board, you can use that as a source for doing that. It's collaborative in the way that different members of your team can go out there and can edit what is out there. So if Yenting went out there and recorded, okay, these are the steps to bring on a new volunteer, and she says, oh, can you go out and review it, Pete? And I can go out there and I can look at it and I say, oh, this third paragraph, this isn't exactly right. We've changed this. And I can go out there and I can just go ahead and edit it. So that's where the collaboration part comes. The second part of this, document sharing tools. And on that, there are a lot of document sharing tools. And that's actually a whole wide area, but there's many tools. There's like Google Docs, there's OneDrive, there's SharePoint, Dropbox, Apple iCloud, and I can't even list all of the items or all of the document sharing. These are great ways to keep information so it's available across your team. The second part of that is that some of these tools, they actually offer more of a collaboration part of that, in that if you have a team of people that are working on a document, they can work at the same time. So we can both go out and actually real time, we can both be editing a document. So again, that's an area where it might be valuable to take a look at that. Document sharing might be a something that could lend value to your nonprofit. Whiteboards. So a whiteboard is a tool really for gathering information. It works good for brainstorming sessions, or if you're doing a retrospective, or feedback or something like that. I have a set of links here, and this is almost it's the the best tools in 2023. This is constantly changing. I mean, you could go out and do another search and find a different resource that's going to come up with a different list. But generally, you'll see some tools have a tendency to show up at the top. Also, maybe look and see what your organization is already licensed for and has, and just make use of what you have. One of the things is actually training and just learning better how to use the tool itself. One of the things, let's see, what I wanted to. So the benefit of being able to use a whiteboard is that it's good for capturing inputs from your team, gathering information. I lost my note here. Oh, well, it might come back to me. There was one thing. Okay. I'll move on. Virtual meetings. So again, looking back at the communication and how we were doing that. COVID came along a few years ago and really forced us all very much into working virtually. And so video conferencing, I think we are all pretty much accustomed to it. However, there's a number of things I think as far as learning how to use it better as a tool in order to convey information, and then maybe some of the things that we'll call integrations. There's actually a whiteboard tool that is part of Zoom. Learning how to better use the tool that you have might be something that Aparo could help you with. So that's again, these are all links that we have within the resources, and we can follow up on that. So that's brought me kind of quickly to the point where what I want to talk about as kind of a conclusion on this is that what you're striving for with the agile approach is to really get your teams so that they are high performing. They self-organize, they are self-directed, and again, that's what you're trying to achieve. There's a number of things that you're going to have to overcome. Some of those things are things such as getting the right mindset, getting people willing to accept and buy in on maybe changing the way they currently do their work, and looking at trying to become maybe more collaborative as a team, and work on that. People have a tendency to be excited or very motivated by their work when they can have more say in it. So again, that is one of the advantages of taking a more agile approach on this. Also, getting things into the sprints, as far as doing short increments and dividing up a project into very short bursts. I talked about communication, and again, I think that's one of the items that you're constantly going to be fighting against, as far as I call it a stumbling block. You're going to be working with your teams. You're going to be thinking everything is going along fine, but there's a problem that comes up, and oftentimes the root cause winds up being its communication. So you might have to look at, okay, how am I communicating? How am I, the information that I am providing to the team, is that the right information? Am I using the right mechanism, the right communication channel in order to get that to the team? And then software tools. As I said, every software vendor is going to tell you that their tool is the best, but there are pros and cons with that. I wish that I could tell you, this is the best tool to use. But again, until you take a holistic approach at all your needs, and what is your existing software, both for performing day-to-day work, as well as what you might want to move to in order to manage projects, that has to be looked at. So with that, Yenting, I think that takes me to the end of what I had. I do have the different, and I don't know whether you want to cover this or you have a chart to do this yourself.
Yeah, I can definitely go over this. So
Okay.
these are the services that Aparo provides. And I wanted to try and put it into the context of what we're talking about today, project management. So one of our services is tech therapy, and this is where we connect you one-on-one with what we call tech therapist. So for example, if you are looking for, if you like what P presented, again, you can tell it's very high level. There are bits and pieces you're probably interested in learning more about or learning or wanting to know how to apply specifically to your nonprofit. We have a number of volunteers who are project managers themselves that'll be happy to chat with you and talk it through with you and see what are those best approaches for your nonprofit specifically. So tech therapy is that coaching, that advice, that guidance, one-on-one. We also offer team trainings under education. So these trainings will be specifically customized and tailored to what your staff needs are. So Pete talked a lot about software tools, right? So let's say you select a tool, you want to make sure to get that buy-in, and big part of that buy-in is understanding how to use the tool. So maybe consider asking us for a team training. So we'll make sure all your staff is up to date and on the same page on how to use that tool moving forward. And then finally, solutions. Pete mentioned this a lot as well. There's a lot of project management tools out there, a lot of communication tools out there. So if you're looking for some support on that needs assessment piece, so that you can find that right tool for your nonprofit, we can connect you with a volunteer or a team of volunteers usually to help make sure that you're selecting the right tool for your nonprofit. Again, these are just different examples of what we can offer in the realm of this project management topic. If you are interested in that, like I mentioned in my introduction, you can go to our website, fill out that a nonprofit service request, and someone will be in contact with you. You'll also receive an email from me. You can feel free to respond to that, and I'll be sure to connect you to the right people. All right, let's see. Any questions?
Actually, Yenting, I will add right now, we had the questions that came in, and I tried to provide answers for those. I'm going to say I provided generalized answers on those. In some cases, it really might deserve, like I say, a little bit deeper dive based on some of the things that you offered that Aparo offers. And I'll just
yeah, definitely. Let's see, it looks like we do, oops. Are the service, this is like a question to me, are the services just reviewed, open to any nonprofit? What is the cost? Great question. So our tech therapy service is absolutely free of cost. You'll meet one-on-one with a tech therapist for up to 8 hours per topic. It is open to any nonprofit with some exceptions. That's on our website, but also I would always just recommend just chatting with our tech therapist to get started. If they're not able to support you, then they'll send you some referrals. There are contribution fees for the team trainings and the solutions project, the community impact projects, what we call them. That is dependent on your nonprofit size and the nonprofit budget and all of that. So we do take those into account. Okay.
Yenting, I see one here. Slack versus Microsoft Teams was a question. Again, on that, what I would really have to say is it may depend on what you are licensed for today. what software you have deployed on your workstations. And again, I'm going to tell you that both of them are very good software applications. Again, sometimes it might be just learning how to better use it. And I would hate to tell you, oh, Slack is better than Microsoft Teams. You run out and you purchase Slack, and you really don't need it. If you already have Microsoft Teams, that may provide everything you need, or vice versa. It's so a little bit deeper discussion might be merited.
Another question came through. Is it possible to learn more about the data behind this type of project management? Meaning, is there a way to read backup metrics that can share what percentage change a company can expect in regards to streamlining communications?
So as far as that goes, I know I had shared just verbally on the first presentation one of the frameworks. It was a scaled agile framework. They tout typical things that can be accomplished by using some of these. Again, I'm not sure that there's I'm going to say that's a generalized target, and but there's significant I don't have the numbers right here in front of me, but that would be a way of using some of these communication methods to improve your processes.
Yeah, and I will say, and it doesn't answer the question, but I will say when we do our community impact projects, that is one of the things that we try and provide the return of investment. So we'll ask about how many hours your staff is taking doing A, B, and C. And then at the end of the project, we'll have that anticipated impact so that you can see your ROI. Yeah, but to Pete's point, I don't know if there's something out there. But maybe we can look into that and share that with you. While other questions are coming through, Pete, why don't we take this question live that you've already answered in the pre-registration. The question is, what are the most universal and important aspects of a good project?
Yes. So I think I provided a rather lengthy answer on that. And again, that goes back to it depends. But one of the things that is at the top of that list is what I'm going to call stakeholder support. So if in your organization, someone, the board, executive director, whatever, someone higher up within the organization, they need to be supporting the project. They need to be behind it. They need to be advocating it, within your organization. Clearly, the value that the project is going to bring to the organization. So if it is, we talked about communication today, and if it's, okay, we want to implement a new tool, let's say Slack. We think that implementing Slack. So we need to tie with that. Okay, what is the value that the organization is going to realize with this, and kind of communicate that to the team that's going to implement this. I talked about, I think in the answer there, one of the best things to do is to actually pilot it, so maybe do a trial or something like that, just to see, okay, how well is it going to work? The other thing is, if you're assigning a team of people to a project, allow them some autonomy. I said what the goal is with an agile team is that team is going to be high performing. Along with high performing, they have say and decision in what they do. And let them come forward with, okay, this is how we would roll forward with some of these. Again, you can keep it within guidelines. We want to achieve this value. We want to be able to roll this project out within a certain timeline. We have to be able to meet these certain user needs. But kind of quickly, that's kind of a rundown on some things. Again, generalized as far as a project goes, but those things would all lend to the success of a project.
Right. You guys have any other questions, please drop them in. Let's cover the best practices, strategies for prioritizing, and how to optimize and record processes.
Okay, so there's really, I think, two questions there. So one is record processes and then prioritize. So there's a lot of different things that can be done as far as prioritizing. And if we're talking about, your current business processes, one of the best things to do is to actually go out to your team that's using these. Find out, okay, what isn't working today. One of the things that I had talked about in the first session was retrospectives as a way of gathering feedback from the team. The other thing is the use of user stories. So again, that may be a way of kind of defining what your current processes are. For prioritization, again, there's a number of different ways of looking at it, but just as a quick overview, some of the things that you want to look at are, what are the things that you may be able to change quickly that are most user interface facing, because those are the ones that have a tendency to, to get that's what they call the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. It's something that may be easy to correct. It does a great deal of impact, and it would mean the most to your organization. Some things may be great suggestions, but it comes in and you look at it and you say, in order to implement this change, I would have to do a project that would take maybe many months, and at the end of it, it's really only going to impact a small group, or it's a very small improvement. And one of the tough things with agile is there's some things that you have to decide, I'm just not going to do it, because you had mentioned about the return on investment, Yenting. In some cases, it's not worth investing all of the effort, for such a small impact or small improvement. So I hope that sort of answered that question.
Yeah, thanks. Well, it looks like we don't have any other questions coming through, so we might go ahead and end early. But before we let you go, Pete, can you talk a little bit about what you're going to be covering in the next session next week?
So in the next session, I had said that there are some more project management type of tools that I'll touch on. This really deals with more along the lines of aligning your organizational strategy with projects that you're going to execute. And then also a way of, okay, how are you going to monitor and watch over those projects to make sure that they are delivering what you need them to deliver. So that's what the final talk will cover.
Great. Sounds good. We're looking forward to it. Well, we're going to go ahead and end here, give you 10 minutes back to the day. Thank you all so much for joining us. Pete, again, thank you for your time, for your expertise, for sharing all of this with us. Everyone, please do expect that email from me. If not by tomorrow, then definitely by Monday. It will have all the resources and deck and everything for you to look over. And then hopefully we will see you all again next Thursday. Have a great rest of the day.
Okay.
Bye.
Goodbye.